When you think of the impact of someone's science on everyday life and on the health of people around this country and this world, Andy Hyland is right up there.
When I was 16, I asked my parents for a calculator. That was the best Christmas present I ever got. And I carried that thing with me every day until it finally died 10 years ago. I'm a numbers guy. I like feel numbers in some ways. I kind of see numbers. I just kind of feel them. They just kind of feel like the right thing to do. Baseball was my favorite sport. The numbers can be used to predict the value of a player or how things are going to turn out over the course of a season. Really was an eye-opener. It was one of many things that kind of helped me understand and appreciate the value of not just numbers for numbers' sake, but how numbers can be used to do things that you think are important.
I hired Andy Hyland back around 1995, and I was looking for somebody to help me analyze some data. And when he came in, he really just took off, not only analyzing the data, but we went on a whole stretch of doing grants together, and he really picked up the mission of Roswell Park, to be honest with you.
I learned that about a third of cancer deaths are from cigarette smoking. So, imagine a vaccine that could get rid of a third of cancer deaths. That would be huge. And here we have this behavior that's entirely preventable that causes a third of cancer deaths. So that inspired me. I was like, wow, I can really make a difference through the tobacco issue.
Here is Andy Hyland. He is not a scientist in the laboratory sense, but he's a scientist in that he's investigating ways to understand why people smoke. How can we prevent them from smoking? How does the tobacco companies' policies impact their ability to get you addicted to cigarettes? He's studying all of that, so he's a scientist just the same as the rest of us.
In the late 1990s, we did several studies trying to understand the impact of New York City's smoke-free workplace and restaurant law. Few other places around the country had adopted smoke-free workplaces. So we had a big press conference in New York City, disseminated the work out to the research community, but also to other stakeholders, because the eyes were on New York City and other cities, and other states and other countries around the world.
Well, he was the one that, was sent up to the podium because he knew the data. He said, we ought to look at this and find out whether it's going to hurt business. And he did the studies in New York to show that it not only did not hurt business, but their business went up.
I think it's fairly safe to say that we would not have a clean indoor air law in New York that protects everyone from secondhand smoke in indoor areas if it were not for the instrumental work of Andy and others at Roswell Park that really documented the science around not only the risks of secondhand smoke, but the effectiveness of these types of policies.
Andy has really made an impact not only in the lives of New York State residents, but in people all over the world, because the studies that he initiated and the steps that he has taken here in New York State really were guidelines for the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Andy Hyland is known all over the planet for his excellence in tobacco policy and tobacco behaviors.
Dr. Andrew Hyland is a big deal. He has been instrumental in informing a variety of tobacco prevention and control initiatives at the national, state, and local level, but also internationally.
He is one of the top 50 scientists in the world in the social science area who's cited. He's one of the most cited scientists in the world.
Dr. Hyland's work is already informing decisions that the FDA makes regarding the regulation of tobacco products. So in some ways you could say that he's very much at the forefront of the policies and practices that will save lives of Americans today and in the future.
My own personal story, certainly my parents were like, lots of parents. They both smoked. They knew it was bad, but it's hard, it's addictive. There's a picture of my mom, she's puffing away. She's pregnant, she's almost 9 months pregnant with me, and she's got an ashtray full of cigarettes, and people didn't know then. But later, my dad, he had smoked for many years. Both my mom and dad had quit smoking for quite a while, but not too long ago, my dad, he got sick. And he's in the hospital, and things aren't looking too good. And this is years, decades, 20 years after he had quit. Things aren't looking too good, and they've got tubes down his windpipe, and they have to clear those things out every couple of hours. When you're in that condition, so you're still able to breathe. And so as they're sucking out some of the secretions that are in there, they're going into a little bucket to the side of the bed. And so even after more than 20 years quitting smoking, the stuff that's coming out of his lungs is just black. It really reinforced, like, holy crap, the damage. I know about these things and we read about the articles and we do the research, but, to be there, seeing your dad kind of laid out like that, it strikes home. Not that we need more motivation. If the work that we can do can help prevent, other people and other families from having to go through this, then that's why we do what we do.
For his continued commitment to prevent cancer and improve the lives of millions locally and around the world, we recognize Dr. Andrew Hyland with this year's Thomas B. Tomasi, MD, PhD Hope Award.